These mistakes will cost you money and time when trying to create your ideal racing sim setup. These are errors I made so you don't have to. We're going to go from least to most severe mistakes. Number one is going to be seat settings on your rig. This is one area that is easy to overlook. The fun and shining things are the wheelbase, steering wheel, and pedals. However, after overlooking this one aspect, I want to make sure no one else misses out on it. I bought this next level racing GT Elite rig. It's sturdy, looks nice, but one thing I despise is how you adjust the seat. It's honestly not that hard to do, but it does take some time compared to, just lifting up on a handle and being able to push back like a normal car seat. Yeah, it's just something I really want you guys to consider if you haven't already bought your rig, because this isn't really an easy issue you can fix without completely replacing your rig. You've been warned. Mistake number two is buying everything at once. This is a good tip to help minimize the upfront cost of a simulator, which, as we know, is and can be a lot. Hold on. I'm not suggesting you buy a rig with no pedals or no seat, but I'm simply suggesting that you start with the essential items only and just buy gear when you feel like you need them. For example, I love driving with a manual transmission in real life, so I was like, dang, my sim rig really needs an H pattern shifter or else it's not even worth getting. However, this caused me to spend an extra chunk of change that I didn't really need to, because once I got my sim rig all set up, I ended up getting addicted to Gran Turismo 7. Most of the cars don't let you use H-pattern shifter, so unless you know exactly what gear you will need for the specific game you will be playing, I would highly recommend starting with just the basics, because this will help minimize your initial cost and give yourself time to save up money and build your rig up slowly. Our third mistake is buying a new Logitech G920 or G29 wheel.
Oh, wow!
This might seem like a slap in the face to many because, yeah, this is a lot of people's start to sim racing, including mine. Look at that, finally! I drifted through the corner like I was talking me. I can never do that again. Good times, but the Logitech wheels have extremely weak force feedback, and this wheel is driven by gears, which further distorts the information that the wheel is giving to you. However, these are okay starter wheels if you can get a good price on the used market. I wouldn't pay over $200 personally, but these days direct drive wheels have become much more affordable. The way I look at it is, if you're interested enough in sim racing to spend money on a new G920 or G29 wheel, there's an extremely high chance you get hooked and end up getting rid of your Logitech wheel in less than a year. This is why, if you go to any marketplace and look up Logitech wheels, you're guaranteed to see a lot of them. Exhibit A. I looked it up so you didn't have to. So, if you're still convinced that this is the wheel for you, you better buy one used, because buying it new is essentially burning a couple $100 at least. I bought a brand new Logitech G920, got a shifter and a wheel stand for it, so spending around $400 on this setup that I used for only a year. I wish I had just saved my money and put it towards a more sturdy and better rig. The G920 days were great, but those days are behind us now. And that takes us to mistake number 4, and that is kind of an embarrassing one, and that is make sure your wheelbase actually fits on your rig. Wow, big one. Kind of seems kind of obvious, but I did a lot of research when trying to build my first, second rig, and I still managed to mess this up. So if I can prevent even one person from making the same mistake as me, it will save you a lot of time and heartache, and hope you don't do it, because yeah, it was a pain in the butt for me. Essentially, I bought the GT Elite front and side mount rig, and I bought the Gran Turismo direct drive wheel, which looks very similar to the other Fanatec direct drive, so just by a quick glance at the photo, I assumed that they would be compatible. Would you not be fooled too? However, the mounting bracket it came with did not fit. Luckily, I had access to a welder and metal cutting tools, which allowed for the bracket to be adjusted to fit on the direct drive's face. As you can see, the scars of the incident are still there, the paint being different and little marks where the welds occurred. But overall, we're still good to race, so in the meantime, it'll do until I decide to upgrade, which is when I'll have to buy new side mounts or face mounts for the new podium or direct drive wheel. So yeah, kind of an L, but hey, at least we're good now. This brings us to our last mistake, number 5, and that is have a budget. Don't cheap out, save your money, invest it in a solid piece of equipment. However, be cautious, because realistically, most of us don't need those $1,000 pedals and full motion setups. it can be a huge mistake if you end up spending too much or too little on your rig. My advice would be take note of your dedication level and what games you're going to be playing, because essentially the game that you're going to be playing is going to determine what equipment you will need. That's one thing I didn't really have down when I built my rig. I pretty much made my rig a jack of all trades, thus some of my equipment went unused. So really consider what you want to get out of your sim rig and have that be the main driver behind the plan. This advice is pretty generic, but I will attempt to use this professionally made graphic to show you how to get the most out of your dollar. Keep in mind that everyone's money available to spend on a sim rig is really different, but the main concept is the same regardless. This chart uses room, which means how fast you can go in a given setup given your current skill set. At the bottom left corner of the graph, we have our entry level wheels. These are essentially just buying your entry ticket into the world of sim racing. You can do fast times, but it's not going to be easy. Next, we have the little pricier direct drive wheels. The level of detail and information that these give you will help you be faster almost immediately. So for an extra couple $100, your experience and total immersion will also be a little bit better. On top of that, get a little nicer pedal set, you'll be almost golden. That's kind of what that black dot on the line represents. It represents the least amount of money for the most speed, which is totally dependent on your budget. So make sure to figure out that dollar amount so you can hit that theoretical black dot, because everything to the right of that, you're paying a significant amount of money for small increments in speed. So just something to consider unless you have the cash for it and you want those small increases. But personally for me, that black dot is where I'm at. Now, sim racing, kind of like real racing, if you have more money, you're gonna have a better rig with new innovations like the force feedback pedals and how those are actually super useful. This is essentially just a general guide for how I'd recommend approaching budgeting for your sim rig, because yeah, it depends. If you're a pro player, then you're gonna want to spend every single dollar to get that little bit of edge. But for the general masses, I think approaching that black dot where you're spending a lot of money and you're pretty fast is good enough to develop your skills, and then there's always potential to upgrade. So it's a good reminder that your sim rig is going to be totally dependent on you and your circumstances alone. Let me know if you made any of these costly sim racing mistakes as well. I want to know how you guys messed up your builds and what you would do differently. And also, be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys all in the next one. Hope your builds go well or continue to go well. Bye-bye.